Okay, it's the 22nd of May. We're here now with our blocks and at the meeting at our home theatre. We've got Mr. Anderson, Ronnie Russell, and I think Sean is here as well.
That's me, yeah.
And guys, basically what we did is we've done two separate sets of holes. We were struggling to get any cooperation or answers. But the first holes that we did were on these sides over here, very carefully, and we'll carry on some of it today, where they chiseled and marked things and just dug it out. And what we found is that at the end of every one of these points, there is holes and leaks, what we think is a spade mark made by people. You can see there's more damage there, and we're prepared to carry on excavating this for you while you see it today. Basically, out of about 6 holes that we've dug, 3 of them have damage. I think what's quite crucial is we then decided, and Keith said, so that there'll be no arguments in court at all as to how this evidence was uncovered. Keith, how did we? What system have we used here to open this?
Okay, obviously that method of cutting out with a chisel could be argued that maybe chisels made the hole in the waterproofing or something like that. So once we got to that point, particularly that hole over there, where you can quite clearly see quite a large slice in the waterproofing, we were looking for a way to pull out pieces of slab without disturbing the waterproofing, turn it over, and then inspect the integrity of the waterproofing underneath that. So we first of all looked at diamond cutting. The problem with that is we couldn't get in underneath the wall and we couldn't get close enough because of the diameter of the blade and so on. So what we then had to do is to core a line of holes around, just to obviously release a block of concrete at a time. There's another one over there and so on. Then these holes in the top, I only drilled a shallow bed so that we can get an eye bolt in, so that we could then put a tube across to lift it out. We were finding though on the first one that the waterproofing, because we wanted to try and leave the waterproofing in place and then lift the slab off of that, but we were finding that the waterproofing had debonded from the bottom slab and it was bonding better to the top slab. Which shouldn't really have been the case because they would have torched it onto the bottom slab, so that it should actually have been bonded there. But because of all the water that is underneath the slab, it seems to have debonded it at that level, underneath the waterproofing, rather than underneath the slab. So we then had to cut through the waterproofing around our blocks and then pull the blocks out. Okay, so this one has been lifted out, as you can see, and it has also been turned over before. There are photographs of what that one looks like.
We're going to turn it over now. I just wanted Mr. Anderson to see, because Mr. Anderson, this is in Mr. Meaden's letter. He quotes you as saying that the hole that you're going to see on the other side appears to have been caused when the portion of the slab was drilled into for the purposes of being lifted out of the actual floor. Please don't do yourself test how deep the hole is. You can see it doesn't even go to halfway.
So we are going to.
We are going to, according to the letter of Mr. Meaden, you say that hole has caused the damage you're going to see on the other side. So I'd like you just to satisfy yourself as to the depth of that hole.
Yeah, well, okay. Obviously, we have to look at it.
Yeah, when we turn it over, you can just see that it doesn't go through, but you can feel, and there's another one there.
Yeah. He's trying to turn it over.
So it's going to go that way. So it's right.
Let's put this here. So
Basically, when we opened this, it was absolutely wet between the two layers, and we'd like to open it further today while you're here. Keith, do you want to maybe roll it back and Mr. Anderson can look at the hole?
Yeah, I was trying to get a bit of light, but for some reason I can't. Okay, so we also have 2 layers of waterproofing, which is in accordance with the spec from the waterproofing supplier. So there's the one layer, and here's the other layer. Now, can I just pull this right off? Is everybody happy? If I can. I'm going to need some weight on that side. tearing the other stuff. But what we're finding in a lot of places is that where the top layer, which is now inverted, has been damaged prior to the concrete being cast on it. You can have a good look there if you like. The hole on the other side was about there. It certainly wouldn't cause a tear like that. And that goes all the way through, you can see, to here. There's no evidence of that stuff on the side. Sorry, Annie, that's wet.
So that indentation there, it's from this side.
Correct.
Well, if you look at how the match is developed, some stuff has come up here now.
If this is done before, the damage will come from that side, not from this side. Indentation is from this side, not from the other side.
Okay, and in saying that, what are you suggesting?
Now, I'm just saying, making a point.
Well,
So-
the damage clearly happened before the cement was put on.
Yeah, before the concrete was cast, that damage must have been. You know, because it goes on, yeah, that's what it is. Because it's a strange, you know, it
You see,
almost
that
looks
is
like
on
a
top.
spade. That's
Yeah,
your
The
top.
damage will come from this
From
side.
the
There won't
concrete
be
side.
indentation from this side.
No, clearly, because this is intact. Okay, this we did now when we tore it back, obviously, because that's bonded there.
To find an explanation for this is not quite so easy.
Our guess is that his workers were just malicious, or trying to spite him or something, I don't know. But
Or it
it's
could have been when they were shoveling concrete
Yeah.
around, you know.
It's just that if you look everywhere, wherever the points of the wires are, there's puncture marks. So, I mean, this is not, you've got a spade mark there, which we think is a spade mark. You've got a similar thing here. They're all over.
But why is there this indentation?
That might have stuck on, that might have been
There's nothing.
something, no, but it might have come off of here. It might have come off of here when it's pulled back, it might have fallen loose at that stage. Because that doesn't match there.
No. It's actually hard to believe that would be like that, unless someone had actually straightened it out.
If damage is from this side, it's not from the other side.
And this damage here?
It's from this side, it's not from the other side.
No, but okay, I'm just trying to dust off so that we can find the edge, right?
You see that indentation there? It is made from this side, can't be from the other side.
How can you cast concrete
Okay.
and leave
Okay, it's just,
bubble?
which is it? All right, then over here,
There's no waterproofing underneath it. The whole thing is cooling.
here you can clearly see that that concrete has been cast onto this level. There was no waterproofing. This waterproofing stops at that line there. So I don't think that little hole there and that little hole there has much significance where you've got a tear that goes all the way along here. And you can clearly see that concrete was cast directly onto this layer because that layer has been torn out for whatever reason. So
You can't see that was cast there. Because that could be
yes,
an
but
air
when this was
bubble.
peeled, it could be an air bubble or
Could
whatever.
be an air bubble.
When this
Or
was
could be
peeled-
somebody scratching it.
It could have been us dusting it like this to find
It
this,
could have been.
you know, like that. But you can very, very clearly see that this concrete was cast onto this level of waterproofing. That has been damaged, cut out. And you know, we can continue to cut out panels of slab. We can take this whole floor up. In fact, we have to now to insulate it. And we can see how many of these we will find.
Well, we're going to do another patch there for you today, and we can also carry on exploring over there. But
Why did you guys random? Is it just a random, or you
yeah,
suspect those areas?
I picked on the areas that have had the most water
Yes.
over time.
Yeah.
Because what became obvious initially, I was
Yes.
told by Ronnie that the waterproofing guys claimed that because of drilling these speaker holes, our micro vibrations went everywhere. That Roy, who installed it, says he doesn't know why he was quoted on that because he never said that in his life. But the water clearly comes from underneath. It does not come from the sides. Even when we've cut a hole in that level,
Yeah.
because we were checking the specifications, they gave you incorrect specifications. They specified one layer only of waterproofing, and apparently Lloyd then had to insist to Yanni, no ways, you do 2 layers. So they then overruled the quantity surveyor and Ronnie on Lloyd's version. Okay, so we then discovered that you'd done the double layer correctly, and that's what we approved there. But I'm saying even whether there's rain or not, nothing has come through the sides at all. It is all coming from underneath. We then ran tests which have gone through pipes underneath here to see if those are blocked. So eventually the only explanation was we've got to get beneath the floor.
Yeah, our attorneys instructed us to find the cause, so we just had to find the cause. We had very little in terms of drawings, details, specifications.
And basically everyone's refused to give us whatever we asked
So
for.
this was the only way to discover what was going on. When I arrived, these openings were already there, but clearly there was no water coming through the wall at all, except for, if you look over there, you'll see there's sort of a rising damp type of moisture. But what happens first when we have a lot of rain is this floor gets wet all over. So we're fairly confident that the problem is from the floor, and there is some correlation between the height of water, and we've got those external test pipes that we can see what level the water gets to. When the water gets very high, and you work out the pressure beneath this inner skin onto the slab and subsequently onto the waterproofing, there's a correlation between those two pressures. So then the water gets through underneath this waterproofing. Now, if that waterproofing was fully intact, it would have done the job. But it's because it's perforated in several places, it then pops through. And there are some cracks in the floor, and water specifically does come through there. They just over a bit now, but you'll see some behind you here.
This area is where it's been cracked, and the water comes through some of these cracks as well. By the door.
So it was for that reason that we thought, well, let's tackle the floor.
Have you found the track patterns in the
It's quite random. It's quite random. There were no joints in the screed.
Are they radiating from the middle, like this one radiates from the middle? That one radiates.
They're quite random. They're quite random all over.
See, if you have pressure under the floor, obviously it's going to pop out. You're going to get cracks in the top of the slab. So that looks very much like the case.
Which we have. Which we certainly have here.
So I think that one could say that probably is the case. You've got pressure on the sides, and you say that it's up to a certain height on this wall.
It's very high. If we go outside, you'll see, I'm not sure where it is now, but we have records of it being about 500 millimeters, 400 millimeters from ground level down, which would put it up here somewhere. Because remember, I still have a ceiling and a thickness of
But
slab.
you do have vertical drains to dewater it.
There are those. There are those. We're not sure of the full extent of those because the drawings that we have don't clearly indicate it. They indicate it in section, but not in plan, so we can't see where they actually run. So presumably they run all the way around. I'm not quite sure what the integrity of the rock is that we're sitting on. There might be soft parts of it where water drains underneath the wall and up underneath the floor.
Granite,
There will be granite.
and presumably it's weathered from
It'll be
quite
weathered.
a significant depth.
Yeah.
So it's certainly not watertight.
Yeah. So it
the
could be
water's
coming in
getting-
under.
The water's probably getting in between the rocks. One looks at it without opening it up. I mean, we can open everything up.
Yeah, I can't make that
That would be
statement
ridiculous.
because I didn't see the explanation.
But I'm just saying that that's is most likely to be the case.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have geotechnical reports here.
No.
There are not very clear ones. There was one for the estate in general, I think, but not specifically on the site.
But I would venture that it probably has weathered granite
Yeah, that's
to reasonably great depth.
that is certain. We're not
So the
quite
water's
sure what
coming
we're
in.
sitting into.
Through the rock, through all the fissures in the rock,
Yeah.
and this vertical drain is obviously not working if it allows the water to get up to that height.
Yeah. There is something that is causing it not to drain this water away completely. Our test holes are not right up against the wall because there's a walkway around the house, so they are a little bit further back. So we're not quite sure what the water profile is like as you get towards the walls. It might drop off, and it'll all depend on the integrity of the rock around that. So we might not be in the backfill portion behind the wall. We're probably, somewhere beyond that because of access, obviously. So all I'm saying is that there's a correlation between the water level in the ground around us and when it starts leaking through. And obviously this internal wall is applying some pressure onto that waterproof. So it only really comes through when the water level is actually very high. So there's certainly that correlation.
Just to ask a question. The question is, were the walls designed for that water pressure?
We didn't design walls.
Who designed them?
BSM Baker, or was it
Yeah, it was BSM Baker.
So you're not sure what the drawings show?
It's a reinforced cavity brick wall. So what we have out here, I'm not sure if you've seen the drawings. This, there are two skins of brickwork over here, okay, with a reinforced concrete cavity inside that. The drawings show, we haven't got it up there yet, that there's waterproofing on the outside of the wall as well. Okay, going down, a flow net, a geodrain and all the rest of it running around the outside, just in section. Then this was waterproof with two layers, as you can see here. Then inside that we have another skin of brick, which sits on top of the slab. This slab goes, you can see it over here. This slab goes right through, okay, up to that point, and then this wall sits on top of it. So this wall is applying pressure on the edge of the slab, and that's the pressure that I'm talking about, being correlated to the water pressure and when the leaks actually start. Obviously, the width of bearing the wall onto the slab is the best, but it just depends on the walls. We've not seen any water leaks through the walls, don't see any cracks through the walls, except that which is rising back from the
If the water gets anywhere between the waterproofing and the concrete, or the waterproofing and the bricks, it just moves until it finds a way out.
if there is a way out.
If there's a way out.
Yeah.
But a wall like this couldn't, in my opinion, take that water pressure.
This inside skin.
If it's a reinforced,
Yeah.
yes, that inside
Yeah.
skin. The reinforced concrete is quite possibly able to take that, but not that inside skin.
Yeah. But there, I just mentioned there is another skin, according to the drawings, on the other side of the wall. Okay, so
Young, is there another skin on the other side of the wall?
There's a bitumen-based sealer on the outside. It's not a torch on.
oh, it's not a membrane.
No, not a membrane.
It's not a membrane. Okay.
It's just a paint on.
The engineer's drawings show waterproofing on that side also.
He said
Two
waterproof.
specialists.
The drawing says waterproofing as per the specialist specification.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, this is standard procedure. You would treat the outside, when you've got proper drainage to get it out.
Yeah.
What you're saying is that if you take a cardboard box and put it into a pool, the whole thing collapses. So the system we usually you box in and use the weight of your screen to link it. So we say waterproof your outer skin on this side. Do your whole slab, cast your slab, and then on top they build inner skin.
You're trying to make a watertight box,
Correct.
but you know very well that you can't take the water pressure, so therefore you've got the drains outside to do water.
Correct.
For some reason, those drains are not working.
If your head of water gets too high,
Then these walls collapse.
if it's not done by normal gravity or pump, then you will stop.
So you've got to visualize a whole sheet of water that's moving
Yeah.
above and below that waterproofing, those waterproofing layers.
Mm.
And if it comes out here, it doesn't mean there's a hole there. The hole could be anywhere, it moves across. That's why I'm just explaining this so that people can visualize what's going on.
Also, there are two slabs. Obviously, this waterproofing is placed onto a lower slab, which is thickened and it becomes the retaining wall's footing. And again, I'm not sure what was actually done, but the engineer's drawings show waterproofing beneath that. Now, I don't know how you would get that beneath that. Beneath the bottom floor slab. There's no waterproofing.
There's no waterproofing.
Okay, because that's what's shown on the drawings.
There's no fines concrete.
Yes,
In
that's
other
shown.
words, so that's
shown.
part of the dewatering
Yes.
exercise.
No
That
fines.
leads
And
to the outside
it's
drains.
a herringbone
No,
pattern.
that leads to the lift sump. There's a sump in the
Or does
lift,
it all lead to the lift?
This all goes to,
and the underfloor, the no fines ladder leads there.
Okay.
Okay.
But you realise, of course, that if those pumps weren't working, that would fill up to a certain line, which would obviously become obvious in a short time. How could that possibly have been filled to that line if it's all connected to that side?
We have holes on the outside, and if you go there now, you'll probably still find water to a fair height.
But it should come into those drains,
Should,
come into these drains, and pop up there.
should,
It'll be the same level all the way around.
should.
This whole thing should have been filled with water.
It should, except the pumps are working, so they are taking whatever water.
Well, they're all
comes out.
working now, but we're talking about when they weren't working.
Well, these leaks haven't only happened once. They happen whenever there's heavy rain.
I'm talking about when this was full up to that line.
This is almost always full up to that height. We'll go outside now and see if
We'll
we
show
have
you. We've been
records of the
keeping
levels.
records. So the water around you right